That was Mike Huckabee from the spin room as he made the rounds, including his appearance on CNN. Ed Morrissey is joining us on the phone from Captain Quarters blog. Thanks very much for being with us, Ed Morrissey. You wrote in your blog tonight, the winner of the most dull debate is, finish the sentence.
Certainly not the viewer. Actually, I think that Mitt Romney probably did best in this debate. I think that he managed to look presidential, have the most poise. I think he handled himself the best. I don't think that this was a debate, however, that lent itself to a lot of upward motion for anybody. Just the format and the very oddly restricted response time that was given to the candidates today really didn't allow them to do much more than reiterate campaign slogans. I found the debate format very disappointing.
What was your impression of the moderator, Carolyn Washburn?
You know, I know this is not Carolyn Washburn's first job. I mean, that's not what she does for a living. I think that she's not terribly well suited to it. I'm sure that she's terrific in whatever it is that she does normally, but in this case, I think she was very stiff. I think she was very. I think she thought that she had to be much more disciplined than was necessary, and quite frankly, I thought the raise of hands idea was really very silly.
Let me share with you how Chris Matthews, in a special edition of Hardball, in asking his panelists about the debate, it's about a minute. We'll show you that and get your reaction.
Did anybody think that debate was worth a damn, just generally, yes or no?
Absolutely not.
Anybody think it was worth a damn for anybody?
No,
I didn't either.
Terrible.
I thought the moderation was a little too strict, to put it lightly, too narrow. There wasn't much give and take. And they seem to have avoided interesting topics on purpose, Chris. Like, let's not let this get too interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't a debate. I wrote that it was a debate only in the loosest definition of that word. It was really a discussion of their policy proposals and their statements on the stump, delivered one by one by one by one.
Right. Do you think it would have been more interesting, Howie, would it have been more interesting television if it had been done by email? If we just actually watched them typing, I think it might have been more interesting.
I mean, honestly, the most interesting thing about the debate was the videos that they showed, the interviews that Iowa Public Television had already done. And it was painful to watch.
It seems to me, Joan, that this could have been an opportunity for Huckabee to get the scab ripped off about his recent shot against Governor Romney's religion, where he said in the Mormon religion, he said, like almost a push poll, isn't it true that they think that Satan was Jesus' brother? Well, that to me is an attack. The fact that he didn't really have to respond to that on television today was a win for him. The nature of this debate was confining to the point. It denied the main story of the day.
He absolutely won the debate because of that. You're right. It was a missed opportunity for all of us.
Ed Morrissey, somebody who watched this debate from Minnesota, agree or disagree with the sentiment that you just saw from MSNBC earlier today?
Well, I agree with a lot of what they said about the nature of the debate. I mean, this is the 10th Republican debate. I believe tomorrow will be the 16th Democratic debate. I haven't really seen a good debate yet. I mean, I've seen some internecine sniping occur, but we really haven't had a great exchange of ideas. A Lincoln Douglas type of debate, which is what people tend to think of as a gold standard, if you will, for debating. This is probably the farthest away that we've gotten from that standard. It was dull. It was pointless. There wasn't near enough time given for the answers to have a good exposition of anybody's position points. I'll say that I thought Huckabee did very well. I think that he had to go in here and not get beat up, and he managed to do that. And because for the simple fact that the debate format didn't allow the other candidates to do that. It was almost as if it was designed to protect Huckabee. And I'm sure that's not what it was, but I mean, if you had to design a debate format that would have protected Huckabee today, that would have been the format that you would have chosen. And it's fortunate for Huckabee that that's what he got. That being said, I think that Huckabee still managed to sound a little defensive in a couple of points. I think that he's a great speaker, and he does very well in this format. I think he did a very good job, and I think he came out of it with a lot of positives. I just happen to think that Romney was the more impressive candidate today.
So if you could design or develop a format for a debate, in addition to having the candidates ask each other questions, which is what you saw in the Lincoln Douglas debates, what would you want to see?
Well, first off, I'd like to see longer answers. I'd like to see probably fewer questions, and I would definitely like to see fewer candidates up on the stage. At this point in the race, there's really no point in including Tom Tancredo, Duncan Hunter, and especially Alan Keyes. This should have been it should have been no more than 5 people on that stage today, and that would have given us an opportunity to see the people who are really contending for this nomination to open them up, to get them to risk some, to go over some very core issues, including, by the way, Iraq and immigration, which for some reason, as the folks on MSNBC noted, were taken off the table right from the very beginning.
What kind of reaction have you had on your blog tonight?
Mixed. There were people that most of them agree. Most of the people who are commenting and picking a winner tonight agree that Romney probably won this debate. There are some who think that Huckabee won it for the same reason that you're hearing from some of the rest of the pundit class, which is that he didn't get attacked and he didn't have to beat off attackers coming at him from all directions, and so it allowed him to stay within himself and do what he normally does, which is really excel in this particular type of stage event. But mostly, most of the people who are committing one way or the other are saying that Romney probably won this debate.
Well, let's just show one more moment with Mike Huckabee from the debate earlier today.
Well, I like the laundry list that everybody's had, and I would agree that every one of those things is important. Reality is none of that's going to happen until we bring this country back together. I think the first priority of the next president is to be a president of all the United States. We are right now a very polarized country, and that polarized country has led to a paralyzed government. We've got Democrats who fight Republicans, liberals fighting conservatives, the left fights the right. Who's fighting for this country again? And somehow, we've got to quit even fighting among ourselves as conservatives and as Republicans and start putting the better interest of this nation. If that doesn't happen, we'll get none of these things done. We've got to be the united people of a United States, and a president has got to somehow remind us that we are a great, resilient nation that has to stick together to solve all of these problems.
Was that indicative, Ed Morrissey, of what you saw from the Huckabee campaign today?
Yeah, you know, this is the typical rhetoric that you get when you're dealing in sound bites. There's nothing objectionable about what Mike Huckabee had to say there. I agree with what Mike Huckabee had to say there to a large extent. But it's not exactly groundbreaking to get up and say that I'm going to be a uniter and not a divider. I mean, we heard that 8 years ago as well. And it's very typical when you are dealing in, especially in the polarized atmosphere that we have right now, for people to use that as a campaign slogan, but it's essentially meaningless. The divisions that exist in American political body exist for good reason. There are people with different approaches and different values, and America exists as basically a marketplace of those ideas and a marketplace of those policies, and the people who can garner the largest coalition to support them will prevail, and that's good. It's the way it should be. And I think it's one thing to say, you know, we need to come together after the end of this process and support the party's nominee. That's a good sentiment for Republicans to have when they're going through a primary process, and the Democrats as well. But it's another thing to say, well, at the end of the day, we should forget all our differences and reach a consensus on what to do just because consensus is good. Sometimes it's not, and sometimes it depends, depending on the issue, depending on the circumstances. It's better to stand on your principles and to say this is the way it should be. And I think that this is the type of thing, and I don't want to isolate Huckabee on this, but this is the type of thing that we were hearing all during the debate, because when you only have 30 seconds to expound on a topic, what you're going to get is the thinnest, most superficial treatment of any issue that's being brought up.
Ed Morrissey, his work can be seen at CaptainQuartersBlog.com and also at Blog Talk Radio. Thanks very much for joining us this evening from Minnesota.
Thank you, sir.